Welcome to Emerge Notary Agency series called Combos at the Loan Signing Closing Table. I'll be chatting with guests about their experiences throughout the loan signing process while purchasing their first property and so much more. By the way, my name is Altavis, so welcome. Also, don't forget to follow ENA on all social media and podcast platforms as we continue to grow. Now, without further ado, let me introduce my first guest. By the way, let this gentleman just introduce himself. Sir, you have the floor.
Hi, my name is Joseph Williams. I'm a mental health therapist licensed in Washington, D.C. I have 20 years experience and I have a very long 20 some odd years history with our host. We go way back.
Don't tell me, we still keep it moisturized.
Right, right.
Thank
Right.
you so
So
much.
I'm happy to be here and I'm ready to talk. I'm ready to get into some things.
Thank you so much, Joseph, for being with me today. Like you said, we are on this series. I'll be covering behind the scenes of what takes place through a loan signing closing, and
Ooh,
and I'm gonna definitely want to get some insights of behind the scenes from people that I know, like yourself and others that I have worked with, one on one about what their experience was when they was at that closing table. So I definitely want to get your input and your insights and your thoughts. So we're gonna get right into these questions. Are you ready, my friend?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay,
Ooh.
okay. So my first question is, what was your experience when you were signing your first set of loan signing documents? I know it's been quite some time, but can you give a vivid, memory about what took place during that time? Because it was a different time compared to right now.
Yes. So I actually closed on my property that I'm currently residing in 15 years ago, almost 15 years ago.
Okay.
And I'm like 2 months shy of 15 years that I've been in my place. And it's almost like, wow, I've been here. But
Hmm.
um, Altabiz, I will tell you this. I signed my loan at a time where there was predatory lenders.
Okay.
Right when Bush was an outgoing president,
Hmm.
I actually moved into my place, and weeks later, I voted for Barack Obama. He hadn't even been elected yet. He was
Okay.
running. And so that was when the market was, everybody was a real estate agent. People were making so much money in this market, but there was a lot of predatory lenders. And
Hmm.
so I went to Houston one time. This is just a briefer. Went to Houston to go visit a cousin. She bought this beautiful home in
Hmm.
Sugar, which is the area where Beyonce grew up at. And I'm like, wow, you got this huge house. How much did you pay for it? I
Right.
paid $200,000. Joe, what's your credit score? Oh, it's this. Joe, my credit score was lower than yours. Oh, really? Let me start looking into this. Not because she bought a house. I just never thought that I could. So, of course, I got a pre approval, which was very innocent and
Hmm.
cute. And then I started looking for properties. And then that's when the issue started happening, where I had people presenting me with 5Y arms. I had no idea what that was. It was a
Hmm.
5 year annual adjustable rate mortgage, 5 year adjustable rate mortgage,
Right.
which where you'll pay this really cute payment. Then after 5 years, you get a bill for $30,000 that you have
Mm.
to pay by the next month. So what I had to do, Altavis, I had to like literally give myself a crash course on mortgages. I literally Googled and printed out documents just to read everything so I can have an awareness of what that looks like,
Hmm.
what type of interest rate I would get with the credit score that I had as a first time home buyer.
Hmm.
Um, I noticed that some of the first time home buyer programs, uh,
Hmm.
FHAs and stuff like that, those programs, with all due respect to those programs, they have a lot of limitations. You can't refinance your house. You can't do
Yeah.
certain things, even with the lower end. I think interest rate that you get or payment that you get. Somehow they're collecting your when you get equity in the home, they're collecting that equity for the first 5 years. I had
Hmm.
no idea about that stuff. So luckily, I found I had a really good real estate agent, black woman by the
Hmm.
name of Cynthia Epps, and she had a loan officer that she connected me with that she worked hand in hand with. Who was a non-black, he was of color, but he said, I promise you, I'm going to put you in a very safe, comfortable situation. I believe
Hmm.
what you're doing is commendable. So he gave me a conventional loan.
Okay.
I
Stop
got
right there, Joseph. I want everyone to hear what Joseph said. He got a conventional loan. We're going to get into that. Proceed, Joseph.
So I got a conventional loan, and he swore that I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to be fine. And so at that time, Altavis, I actually went to closing with only $1,000, and $1,000 was earnest deposit money that I had to put down on the property, and I get that back at closing. I can't explain how this happened, but the day of closing,
Mm-hmm.
um, I actually got $5,000 back. Why?
Interesting.
Why and how, I don't know. But I came to the table with nothing and walked away with $5,000.
You hear
Uh,
everyone what he said? He came to the table with what?
with
Nothing and left
nothing, nothing.
okay, zero.
I had about $2,000 saved. I didn't have a big multitude of money. Now this was in '07,
Mm-hmm.
so therefore it was like, mind you, this I was a young brother. I was approaching 30. I was getting ready to turn 30,
Mm-hmm.
and I was the young boy that was calling home asking my granddaddy, "Could you send me $1,000? I overdrew my account." So
Right,
I didn't know
right.
what I was doing. I just knew that once I started doing research, I realized that this was something amazing that I can do, and I bought in the city of Washington D.C.
Okay, everyone, you hear what Joseph's saying? Joseph, let me just insert that. Which county did you purchase your first property in again? Can you repeat that for the viewers and the listeners, please?
In the District of Columbia, Washington, D.C.
Okay,
So, with most Black professionals, they were moving to Maryland, to Prince George's County, Bowie, Upper Marlboro, uh,
okay.
or Charles County, like Waldorf, because that was the space of suburbia. It gives you, the Black American dream. You got these big homes. But I knew that most of those people, they worked in the city. And
Mm.
one thing that my real estate agent informed me of was that, Joseph, buy your property in the city. That
Why?
equity is going to shoot up. You'll have more equity within 5 years than they will get in 10 years.
Jojo,
And
hold that thought. So you hear what Mr. Williams is saying? Buy what? Buy in what
buy in the
area?
cities.
Mm-hmm.
Buy in the cities. Try to see if you can get in the cities. There are all kinds of programs that will work with you. And I want to say this. I
Okay.
was on that edge of higher end money. Because mind you, and look, I'm going to be transparent. When I went from making with a master's degree in social work and counseling, my initial job, I was making 47,500 at 23. And I was lowballing myself because I was working for these very small organizations. Then I got with a bigger organization, and instantly I was making $80,000. And
Mm.
so $80,000 a year. So I thought that I could qualify for some of these programs. I found out in Washington, D.C., that the medium income in DC is $90,000. So
Interesting.
I thought, so you can fall under a percentage of low income. Unfortunately, I did not qualify for none of the programs, none of the closing cost programs, anything. Fortunately, because my seller was trying to get rid of the property,
Mm.
he said he'll take care of my closing cost if I pay the full fee for the
Mm.
property. So he took care of my closing costs. I came to the table with nothing, and I ended up getting money back.
So
Um,
everyone, you hear what Joseph is saying. Joe, I just wanted to interject really quick on that. He came to the table with nothing, and then came from the table with something, and that's something that's it really doesn't happen as much. And during that time, Joseph, let's keep the viewers in mind. That was 15 years ago. So as you mentioned earlier, that was the predatory lending period, correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
predatory lending period. And
Mhm.
so one of the biggest things for me was that scared me. Of course, you're signing documents about this thick.
We're going to get into that. That's what we're going to get right into. That's my
Yes.
next
So you're
question.
signing all these documents. You're putting your
Yeah.
you're putting your signature and initials on all
We're
of
going to
these.
get into that. This is where
Yes.
people
And
like
so
myself come in at. I get excited because I'm like, okay, which leads me to my next question for you, Joe, is when you got those documents, what was the volume? Like, what were there many documents to review and sign? Was you nervous? Did you have a real estate attorney to go over with you, or do you have a loan signing agent like myself to walk you through and sign and point, notarize? Who was there for you during that time?
oh wow. I had my real estate agent who
Okay.
who for 6 months was like a mom to me.
Okay.
And then I had her loan officer who was this East Indian guy who was so nice and down to
Okay.
earth. And
Okay.
then I had a notary who
Okay.
was this gorgeous, jazzy,
Mhm.
thick black woman and had an outfit on. She was the one that was best dressed.
Okay.
And, and,
You know.
and so literally They were
Because
all that.
she was a signing agent like myself, like a loan
She was
signing
a
agent
signing agent. Yes, she was.
within the
And
DC
so
area. Okay.
even down to the fact of what they were explaining to me at the because we went to a title company. What the
Right.
title company was trying to explain to me,
Hmm.
the signing agent actually broke down for me.
Okay.
And she actually warned me once we got to this one page. She said, "You're going to get to this page. It's going to make you feel very uncomfortable because
Hmm.
you are on a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. And
Hmm.
it's going to show if you keep this same interest rate and the same payment, how much money you would pay out in 30 years." And when she showed me, I
Hmm.
gagged. I
Can I
paid.
tell you which letter? I can tell you which document that was, since I kind of know what that is. That is called, my friend, an amortization schedule form. It kind of breaks down the 30 years, 360 months of your life committed to paying that mortgage. It's very scary to people, my friend, but it's very imperative that one knows that, because as you're making those monthly payments, there are many ways, which I can't get into because that usually come from more of a real estate professional or an escrow officer or a lender can tell you if you wanted to maybe increase your payments, there are ways to do that. However, it's very imperative for a first time buyer to make sure they look at that document. Some people don't touch bases on that, but it's very important to review it and see how many years you actually will be paying on that mortgage and how much it really will impact you. Because you say, for example, you may take $200,000 out. It's not $200,000 after 30 years. So all I'm saying, and as a disclaimer, let me just say this. I am a loan signing agent only and not an attorney, and I'm not giving any legal advice. I'm only having these conversations with my guests. So, any other information you want to further find out, talk to a real estate attorney. I can just say that. Joseph, proceed.
I paid $229,000 for
Okay.
my property. And after 30 years, I would have paid out
Okay.
than more than what I paid for the property, more than what the loan is worth.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the part that becomes, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Then they give you your deed and they say this is yours and they hand you your keys.
Okay.
Jingle jingle. And they said, "Joseph, we have a surprise for you. You have a check for $5,782.50."
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "What is this for?" And my loan officer said, "Lunch money." And
Wow.
so I was like, "What is this for?" And they just said it was just money left over and this is what you get. So
Mm-hmm.
prior to moving in, I threw everything away. I threw everything away and bought new everything.
I
Dishes,
get
plates, cups.
you
I
were
just
ready.
want the energy to be fresh.
You was ready for a new place, a
Yeah.
new,
Mhm.
a new start. Now, speaking about the documentation that you was presented, you mentioned about in the document. Now, here's my next question for you. Which document you would consider the most important document within those loan signing documents? You can be open. There's no. I'm gonna just wait for your
Oh,
response.
the how much you pay out, but then also the penalty page.
Okay.
With well, there was a section where they talked about penalties,
Okay.
late payments.
Okay. Okay.
They talked about what is it called? Defaulting.
Okay.
And that was the scariest thing for me because you're talking about 30 years. At the
Right.
time, I was 29 years old. You fast forward to 30 years, I'll be 59. You know what I
Right.
mean?
So
So it's
what you're
just like,
saying though, Joe, that was the
yeah,
note that broke
mm,
down that.
yeah.
Now, you mentioned something just a few sentences prior to that, and I think you mentioned it starts with the D. It was the
The
deed.
deed, the
Okay,
deed.
let's
So,
think about that. Yeah, the deed, right?
yeah, the
Very
deed.
important. The deed is very important, and you
Mhm.
know why that deed is very important, right?
Because the deed proves that you actually own your property.
Okay, so you're there, and
Mhm.
if you don't own that property, what happens?
It ain't yours. It's not yours.
I just
The
want the
deed,
viewers to know that, yeah, it's not yours, because if there are any liens on that property, we have a situation.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
like, literally, I have two deeds. I have two
Okay.
copies. I have
Okay.
one here
Hmm.
in my home, and then
Okay.
then with the bank that I actually open, because I actually got my loan through Bank of America, who
Okay.
initially, when I went to them for pre-approval, they
Hmm.
were giving me some crazy numbers that would have made me house broke. But
Okay.
Bank of America, I don't know what the loan officer did, but he put me in some type of program with Bank of America. So
Okay.
because I had it with Bank of America, they
Hmm.
gave me a safety deposit box for
Hmm.
free. I was
Hmm.
able to like put all this stuff. So I actually put my deed in my safety deposit box.
Interesting. Jojo, tell me, let's go back to the signing agent. Now, what was your experience with the signing agent as far as walking you through, excuse me, through the amortization schedule, which you felt like that I'm glad she did kind of, you know, bring that document to the forefront. What was that experience like while she was walking you through those documents that you kind of remember? I know it's been some time, but what else can you can remember during that time when you was closing on your first property?
Oh, I, I literally was looking at my deed, my paperwork the other day, just going
Okay.
through it.
Mm-hmm.
And I finally remembered her name, but I never forgot her.
Right.
I just remember the way she looked at me, and
Okay.
even when they handed me my keys, she smiled at me and was just like,
She's excited for you.
"Yeah."
You
And
did
she
it.
asked me for my address,
Okay.
and I just remember she reiterated,
Mm-hmm.
"Okay, I loved my real estate agent, who was
Okay.
very honest and real. The loan officer I met through her, but that signing agent was talking to me as if these people are getting a payout.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here to give you the real.
Okay.
I am
Interesting.
getting a fee to do this, but I'm here to give you some real information." And
Okay.
she literally told me what to do with my documents. She told me
Mm-hmm.
where to keep my documents. She told me don't let nobody see these documents. These
Okay.
should not be out in the open. Your deeds should be somewhere tucked, put away in a safe place. Have two copies. She actually even had access and made copies for me.
Okay.
This woman was able to give me everything, but I like the noise she was making. I got this thing for AMSR, so she was stapling and shuffling, and
You
it's
guys,
just
Joseph is very animated. But what she do, Joe? It was it was kind of just
it
triggered
was
by it in
giving
a
me
good way.
chills. It was like she was like, just
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so, but I do remember
Mm-hmm.
her, um, Miss Baker. That's her name,
Okay.
Miss
Shout out to
Baker.
Miss Baker. Miss Baker, wherever you at out there in DC, shout out to
Mhm.
you. Loan
She's the main
signing
person
agent
that I remember.
here.
Yes,
Yeah.
she's the main
Okay.
person that I remember that truly
Mm-hmm.
uh, made me understand that this is real, but you made a
Okay.
huge accomplishment and you can do it.
Wow.
And she
Okay.
just said, "Don't renege. This is
Mm.
plenty of future. This can be part of your retirement." And she said, "I want you to know that you made the best decision ever." And I felt great after that.
Okay.
My real estate agent, with all due respect, and I love her, she kind of disconnected that day.
Interesting.
But the signing agent literally was kind of like, "Hi," almost like I went to go see the doctor.
She was plugged in.
She was plugged in,
She was
and
plugged in.
I think it's really important because here it is, this lone little black boy,
Mm-hmm.
who didn't think that he could do anything like this. She made it easy for me,
Mm-hmm.
but she also gave me some really good schooling that truly told me, "Okay, Joe, you need to be on top of this stuff. This is the
Mm-hmm.
most important document that you have. Keep your deeds safe. Keep all of your documents safe.
Mm-hmm.
Put it in the safety deposit box." She really gave me some strong information. But then also afterwards, she gave me a card, and she
Okay.
also gave me a packet. And,
Okay.
and you know what was in the packet, and I still have it, and I don't know why I didn't pull it out uh,
Okay.
when we are doing this interview.
It's
But
okay. You know why, Joe? Because as she said, this is highly confidential documentation. So remember, this is
you know,
all
you know what
public.
was in the packet?
What was in that packet, Joseph?
Resources for everything related to home ownership, even
Okay.
housing counseling services if you default on your loans,
Mm-hmm.
attorneys, property tax information.
Okay.
She gave me a list of licensed providers for construction work or
She give you a contact sheet
like.
for just go to key players within the real estate and mortgage
Mhm.
industry. So in case you ever had any issues, those would be your go-to people just to help you throughout the process and continue after you purchase your first property.
Mhm.
Miss
Yeah.
Baker seemed like she was doing her thing. I don't
Mhm.
know where Miss Baker at right now, Joseph, but let's give her another shout out because what this content is discussing, we want to just enlighten people about the importance of a loan signing agent. Nowadays, real estate is being pushed in the forefront, especially within our community and even abroad. So it's become a lot more, I like to call it sexy and attractive to a lot of people, especially with the plight of social media. Everybody, wants to get in this industry, but doesn't know behind the scenes what that is and what type of work that entails and what type of individual one needs to be when you're representing people. Either you're coming in from a lender who is trying to put some numbers together for an individual like yourself to find the best interest rates, up until the real estate agent who actually are the ones that's going to show you the actual property. Then you have a mortgage broker, where sometimes they are pretty much the middleman to kind of put all the key players involved in that. And then once all that information is compiled, everyone has got communication, and most importantly, the signer and or the seller, like you will be the signer, you always supposed to get that out to settlement statement at the time. Joseph, you probably got your closing disclosure, because right now, what's taking place when it comes to these closings and these signings, usually individuals will get their closing disclosures, also known as a CD. That's in our industry, our talking lingo. And then you guys will get the closing disclosure. You will review it, and then once that is looked at, a final documentation is presented, which is called the Alta settlement statement. That gives you the full breakdown of the closing cost details and how much credit one will be offered once, before the closing actually takes place. So when a signing agent like Miss Baker at the time, who actually facilitated your documentation, she pretty much broke down what the important documentations that you had to be aware of. And I really applaud her, because sometimes, you get a lot of feedback from a lot of individuals once they're doing their signings, especially they maybe did one or two signings. It all depends on how that person made them feel. And it sounds like Miss Baker made you feel like, okay, I'm gonna plug this gentleman in to let him know what he needs to know, because sometimes people walk away from that signing table, or some want to call it the closing table, after everything is done and the funding is dispersed amongst all the parties, and you still have no way of not knowing how to, keep up with, your signing documents. So that's
I,
I
you know what?
applaud
I
you
get
for
a
that.
card. I get a card every year from her.
That's awesome.
She sends a Christmas card every year,
That's
and
awesome.
I actually sent her an email
Hmm.
probably after my second year, and
Hmm.
she'll call me at least once a year and be like, "You still in your house? You
Wow.
still in your house?" She'll say something like that. I
Hmm.
haven't heard from her in the last couple of years, but I did go check to see whether or not she was still in operation,
Okay.
because a friend of mine actually, we purchased together, not together, but
Right.
we had the same real estate agent, and she worked with Miss Baker as well.
Okay.
And so she said, "Yeah, Joe, I actually was just with her 2 years ago when I purchased my property, and
Wow.
she bought during COVID, so
Yeah.
her second property. So I would hope to see her again, but definitely. And for some reason, for almost 2 years, I got Better Home Magazine, or one of these home magazines. I think it
Mhm.
was Baker who actually signed me up for it.
Yeah, she kind of want to keep you in the know. I
Yeah.
think it's very important, even as an existing home buyer like yourself, Joseph. As you know, right now, the market is it's looking it's challenging. And I think, for homeowners like yourself, and including myself as well, we've been very fortunate, because that wave, when you purchase you get these homes around, like, remember 2007, 2008, people keep talking about that. And you know where we always at. I know where I was at. I was actually down there where all that Wall Street action, and we saw what happened. And during that time, there was, like, everyone was saying bail out, they's bailing out Wall Street, but what about Main Street? Now look at us now. But right now we're going through a full circle. No one knows what's going to happen. There's a lot of predictions. You have a lot of influencers talking about, what's going to happen. We don't know. But as you can look at the current financial history, you know, the economy will bounce back. I mean, if it plummets, that will be a first. But this is historical content. It constantly it keeps evolving. You know what I mean? So right now, interest rates are pretty high. But at the same time, prior to this pandemic situation we had, they were kind of like they were where they were, right? So I think what's currently taking place, why the Feds are trying to keep raising interest rate, because they have to normalize the market. I don't want to get too much details in that, because it gets very, very complex. And to make it to really pull it in full circle, as they're saying, the economy is booming, meaning that it's looking crazy, but at the same time, there's not that much in unemployment. People are really doing things on their own, and interest rates is going to keep increasing until they kind of get flat, because right now there were too many people trying to get into the housing market, which is a great thing, but at the same time the supply is not there. So for loan signing agents like myself, we were overly busy. I mean, I'm in New York, so I work these 5 boroughs, honey. So I'll be out there. But for a lot of people, the supply was not there. So you have to go outside of your market and look for something that's going to fit your budget. And we live in these big cities where a lot of people, especially a lot of young people, come out of school. They're not going to be able to afford right now, but there will be something. So you got to stay hopeful. And just saying how you've been in your home for these X amount of years, you're very fortunate, because right now it's all about the supply. That's why I think a lot of new construction is going to start to emerge. Hint, hint, because you know there's no much people where people are going to go, so they got to start building. And with that in place, you're going to have a lot more people who's going to start building, and all this looking for like construction people. It's just like right now we are at a standstill, but I think eventually it's going to take some time. I think maybe over the next, I'm not going to give a prediction because I already said I wasn't going to give a prediction, because right now when it happens, it will happen. And either when you're ready to purchase more property, you'll be ready, and if not, just be content about your existing property. What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so I love my I love
Hmm.
my but I'm a man of a particular age now, and
Right.
I do want a home. I did purchase a condo, a very large condo, but
Hmm.
I am now thinking about home.
Hold
Um,
that thought, because since you are talking about upgrading, let's get into some trivia, some game trivia. Let's play a game. You want to play a game? I
sure,
think I think right
let's
now with so much real estate, people get so like they get tense window. Let's just make it just really chill and just like whatever. So I got this game, and I'm so glad you brought that out about upgrading to another property. Let's get into this. I'm going to ask you a few questions, Joseph, and I want to know what your take is on them. All right. Let's get to the first question. But before you answer this, right, you either tell me facts or fiction. Either way, it doesn't really matter. It's your thoughts. No judgment here. And anyone else in the chat, you guys can just drop your thoughts as well, because we just want to make sure this content gets to everybody who's looking to purchase property in the near future or who's looking right now. Because if you have the money, you can make moves, but you got to be strategic on which market you're going to purchase your property. And if it's going to be in a real estate state where you meet a real estate attorney, or you will be working with a loan signing agent like myself when it's time for you to sign on your first property, or even your next second investment property. So let's get right into it, Joe. You ready, Joe?
I'm ready. I'm
Okay,
ready.
let's do this. Okay. Number one, would you say it's beneficial to purchase a single family or multi-family property?
I think it all depends on your interest. Multifamily property sounds like an investment.
Okay.
Single family sound like you just want to buy a home.
Mm,
So for
mm,
me, I would
okay.
say single family.
For
No, no,
you.
no. If I was talking about that money, I would say multifamily.
Okay.
Um, yeah.
Okay. All right. No judgment here. Let's get into our next question. Okay. What's more important? What's the most important document within the loan signing document? Is it a deed or a payment letter or both? It's not a right or wrong question. Hmm?
Both.
Why?
Your deed solidifies that you are the owner of that property and you are tied to that original loan, which links you to that property.
Okay.
Then the other document shows the life and the dynamics for which you have to be part of in order to maintain that deed.
Okay. All right. Joseph, you did your homework, didn't you? Look at you showing up today. Shout out to Tuskegee. Look at you showing up. Okay.
Absolutely.
Alumni is up in here. Okay. Number three, and my final question. Who identifies the signer upon the loan signing closing? Will it be a loan signing agent like myself, a real estate attorney, or both?
Ooh,
Want me,
ooh, wait a
want me to
minute.
repeat,
Okay.
want me to repeat that back?
Yes.
And let me do it a little slower. Okay, I was in my Brooklynese talk. Okay, here we go. Who identifies the signer upon the loan signing closing appointment? Would it be the loan signing agent or the real estate attorney or both?
the 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 loan signing agent.
Okay, well, that is partially correct. Now, here's the thing. If it's in a if it's a real estate attorney, that means, for example, I live in New York City, you live in DC. When it comes to facilitating those type of properties, a real estate attorney needs to be present unless they're not able to attend. Then they will reach out to a loan signing agent like myself to help proceed with that closing.
with
And
the
of course,
proxy.
with the yeah, because we have to make sure we identify and witness all the documents being executed because it's an attorney state. So keep in mind, there are a lot of states across the country that are attorney states. So loan signing agents like myself, we can show up, but most likely the real estate attorney will be the first in line. If they're unable to attend, then they will bring someone in like myself to help facilitate it
Okay.
because it's an attorney state. So you're in DC, you know how the big cities are. They don't want us to get
Yeah.
involved. But let's say, for example, you was purchasing property in Florida, you lived in DC, you will be able to get a loan signing agent to help you facilitate it because Florida is wide open. Something about Florida. Shout out to
Yeah,
Florida.
I believe if I'm not mistaken, I mean I
Mhm.
could be wrong, but I think DC you need to have an attorney because we're the nation's capital, so we're
Exactly.
under the microscope.
Mhm.
So
But in
I'm,
your
I'm
case, you had Miss Baker. She was a loan signing agent, but I'm quite sure there was also a real estate attorney involved in behind the scenes. They probably wasn't there because they couldn't make the closing or the signing at the time. So they make sure they brought in someone like the loan signing agent to facilitate and also execute, make sure the documents are being executed, properly and being notarized. So most likely, if it's an attorney state, that's just for the listeners. If it is an attorney state, most likely it's going to be an attorney present for that signing. However, if it's a state like Florida and other states, what's on my rate? What else can you go to? Like Florida, most popular state I know for a fact is Florida. You can facilitate as a loan signing agent. You can facilitate that signing appointment though. But either way, there's always going to be the key players such as a loan signing agent, real estate attorney, a mortgage broker if necessary. Also, you have the real estate agent, along with the lender and the escrow officer, who will be all there throughout this whole process. But what we're here to talk about is how the loan signing agent, how we do our job throughout the real estate and mortgage documentations through when you're having a signing. So I'm glad that Joseph was able to answer those questions. Like I said, no judgment here, Joseph. It is what it is though. But just to make sure that's clarified, if it's in DC, you definitely have to have the real estate attorney there unless there is a loan signing agent like myself to help facilitate the paperwork. So yeah, there you go. Joseph, let me ask you something.
okay.
I am just so fortunate to have you here as one of my premier guests. I know you have a very busy schedule. I want to let the viewers and the listeners know where can they follow you. But before we get into that, um, if anyone comes across this content in the next 5 years, where do you see yourself as far as when it comes to real estate, as far as property? Just give us something.
Hope
Where do you see yourself at?
I mean, like in a house, in a home, probably 3 to 4 bedroom house. I'm gonna keep it there. If I do get a 4 bedroom, it will be a bonus bedroom because it's
Hmm.
just me. I'm not married. I don't have any children. It's
Hmm.
just me and a
Hmm.
cat. So, so I
Yeah.
wouldn't want a big, massive home, but
Hmm.
I would want a very beautiful home
Okay.
with
Okay.
about 3 bedrooms, four possibly,
Okay.
with 2.5 baths, in a beautiful space.
Okay.
I'm struggling between what DC has to offer because
Okay.
for me, it's starting to look like in the major cities, you're just buying the house. I
Mm.
just spent some time in Georgia, and to step out, and everybody's talking about Atlanta, well,
Hmm.
particularly in our communities, but
Yeah.
uh, I'm in Stone Mountain, Georgia. There's a huge front yard that you're going to need like one of those driving uh, grass cutters,
I
and
hear
then
you.
when we go out into a backyard, there is a deck that's so huge.
Hmm.
Then when you step out, it's even more backyard. There's 3 adult swing sets back there.
Okay.
There's a waterfall fountain, and there's grass and wildflowers growing everywhere. And I'm just like, this is kind of like a vibe. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
I hear you.
You
Yes.
know, but then just with my lifestyle, we talked earlier. I'm
Hmm.
gonna I'm a 5-10 minute walk from Whole Foods.
Right.
I don't need the car. I don't need the car insurance. Like
Yeah.
I like to walk everywhere. So but then I do like the tranquility of the suburban world. So hopefully I would have figured out um, what I want to do
Okay.
as far as the house, because I am looking and I'm just kind of looking. I'm not moving on anything, but I'm looking.
Mm.
Um, and so hopefully I'll be in my home and, might be in a nice big house with a spouse and,
Okay.
who,
Talk about
who
it.
knows? You know,
Manifest it.
I'll
Manifest
be
it.
pushing 50 at the time. So we'll see what
We
happens.
don't. We're not talking about age right now. We just you're gonna be moisturized up. You're gonna be looking pleasant. But that's a great goal to definitely set forth. And I know for a fact, knowing you for so many years, Joseph, you're gonna make it happen. But in the meantime, I know you're so fortunate to be in this existing property, because right now everything's at a slight little standstill for people to look for property right now. But let's not. You know what? Let me circle back that. Nothing is never at a standstill. It all depends on if you're able to purchase. I would say purchase. Just make sure you have your money ready. That's all it's really about. The money's ready, and just creative ways how to make it happen. Because right now, the tides are turning, but we'll get back on. We'll
Well,
get
I'm gonna
back
say
on track.
this. I
Mhm.
paid $229,000 for my property back in '07. Now
Okay.
in 2020, my property is appraising for a little over a $500,000.
You hear that, everyone? You hear what Joseph is saying? When he purchased his property, it was at what amount? 220,000.
29,000.
Okay, so you see what's happening, but let's keep in mind, Joseph, you are in a big city like DC. So the big cities, there's a lot of equity in these homes that we have. So we know what that is. But for those who are looking to maybe branch out into markets like the C markets, it's always a great starter, because right now a lot of people can't really afford these big metropolitan, homes in these cities though. But that's awesome for you. Now take this in consideration. When it's time for you to transition to a bigger property, when you put that property on the market, Miss Bay gonna be happy to see you.
Well, you know what? Well, I'm gonna tell
Yeah.
you this. I'm gonna tell you
Mhm.
this.
And your
My
real estate agent.
my goal out to these. I don't want to
Mhm.
sell. I want to keep this.
Well, then you hear everyone. Joseph said he's not going to sell it. I'm sorry, excuse me. He's not going to sell it. He's not going to sell. He is
I
going to
just
just
feel this is what I
acquire
believe.
more investment property. There you go.
This will be the investment property because I'm right by Gallaudet University.
Okay.
I would like to rent this.
Will it be
Uh,
multifamily, Joseph, or will it be a single family?
well, this property right here will be a single family.
The second property that you will purchase down the road is what I'm
Yes.
asking. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, but I would love to keep this condo. It sits in a very bustling area,
Okay.
and I don't want to get rid of it. I want this to be part of my retirement as well.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So the goal, everybody's saying, and that's the one big concern that I'm having, and I'll put
Hmm.
that out there. Even hearing from my previous real estate agent,
Hmm.
saying do a pull out. You can use this refi to pull out the equity, but because the market might do something, my
Right.
property may not appraise for as much. So
Mm.
that's the concern. And then
Mm.
I've had friends to modify or pull money out or to do what is it called?
You talking about the refi? We did the
When
refi
they
then?
pull equity out of the home. It's called I
The
forgot the
ca-
name of it.
with the cash refi.
Yeah,
Talking about
cash refi.
the cash refi. Okay.
Or they do a home equity line of credit and
Hmm.
and stuff like that. And
Yep.
so I'm like, did your payment change? They was like, Joe, my payment only went up $80.
Wow.
And so
Wow.
I'm just like, wow, so this will be the
Mhm.
perfect time. But I don't want to rush because I didn't rush this. I
Mhm.
didn't rush this property. I didn't feel forced into it. And my brother just bought a condo, and ever so often I'm asking myself,
Congrats
did
to
you get
him.
did you get pushed into this?
And
You
tell
know,
we spell that, Joseph. He's in Cali on
he's
the
in
West.
California.
Yeah.
He just
Yeah.
he just bought a 3-bedroom condo in Sacramento. So
Wow.
then, but then I'm concerned because the day of closing, the people are still moving out.
Mm.
So these are things that I'm like, I think your real estate agent didn't do you a good job. Did they clean it? You got to hire cleaners. See, we're not having that. You know what I mean?
So everyone, you hear that? You hear what Joe is saying? See, everyone's situation when it comes to acquiring property, it's all about the details, paying attention to details, and also just being mindful of the people who are around you who's supposed to be helping you with this process. So you see some things that needs to be worked on, but in the meantime, I seem like your brother, he's still moving forward with the
Yeah,
actual.
he went to closing last week.
Okay,
He found a
congrats to him.
contractor to come in and do some slight upgrades.
Hmm.
I wasn't sold about his kitchen because I'm like, baby, kitchens are open, they're not narrow. You know
Right,
what I mean?
right.
So I'm like, but he's like,
Hmm.
it's my first home. I'm like, my first home was laid out for me, but I was fortunate to get a full gutted, you know, fully
Raw.
gutted,
Yeah.
completely modernized
Hmm.
building that was snatched from the inside out. Now,
Okay.
in that same space, that was 15 years ago. I've had to upgrade the bathroom. I've
Mm,
had to upgrade the appliances. I've
mm,
had to upgrade. I'm getting ready to do the floors over because that keeps the property sellable and relevant as well. I'm
mhm,
not following trends or anything else, but at the same time, you have to maintain the property that you have because it becomes very expensive. I had
mhm,
to get my HVAC serviced after 15 years. I had
mhm,
to get, some things changed out
mhm.
because they do fall apart. Also, wait, home warranties.
Okay,
They
listen up,
are a
everyone.
setup. And I'm sorry, these views are not expressed through Altavisa's program. I mean, with all due respect,
Yeah.
everybody that I know with a home warranty, they usually get set up for failure, particularly with really large line items like your HVAC system.
Hmm.
Remember this, guys, HVAC, that's your heating and cooling system. 3 years ago, it'd be about $5,000 to fully replace it. After the pandemic, that price has doubled.
Everybody, you hear what Joseph is saying? Put in the chat section and comments. Home warranty what?
My
Exclamation
friend,
mark.
my
Home
friend,
warranty what?
he has to pay a $3,000, $2,000 deductible. You add another 5,000 on that, you can get a brand new unit.
Mm, mm,
So make
interesting.
sure that you have those proper things in place. Miss Baker had informed me of that. Get a
Okay.
credit card, but get a large in credit card where it's strictly for your home
Why, Joseph? Why?
because things will fall apart. These are man-made items.
Okay.
Okay.
Hmm.
I'm gonna say this. My grandfather has a microwave in his house. My granddaddy's 92. We had a microwave since I was like 12, no, 8 years old. The microwave is huge.
Hmm.
That microwave still works. You know why?
Why?
Because that was probably one of the first microwaves that they've made. You know what I mean? Now, that microwave is huge. You can
They're
fit
not
three
making
plates in
them.
that microwave. A
Hmm.
microwave today will give you a good 5 years of use, if that.
Hmm.
If
Hmm.
that. Refrigerators, I just had to replace my refrigerator.
Okay.
Okay?
Hmm.
My refrigerator lasted 15 years. People
Wow.
say today you only get 10 years out of a refrigerator. If you
Mm.
got more years out of that, great. Washer and dryer, you only get about 10 years out of a washer and dryer.
Okay.
You
Okay.
might get extra years out of your stove, but that's just what it gives. You understand where I'm coming
So
from?
everyone, you
And
hear
so
what Joseph is saying? Joe, not to cut you off. That's he's dropping some facts. Please, in the comment section down below, check your home warranty. That's very imperative, especially for a first-time home buyer or a first-time investor looking to purchase a multifamily home. Home warranty is very imperative. As a loan signing agent, I don't get involved in that, but there's a documentation that we do have to bring that to your attention just to make sure you have home property insurance in place. So definitely make sure you speak with your lender, the title company, and all the other key players involved.
the Miss Baker actually put a clause in place at my closing because when
Hmm.
I purchased the place, they were ready to sell. I have
Okay.
a skylight. I have a huge skylight in my bathroom.
Hmm.
There was a tarmac over the skylight, a
Wow.
section of it because it was cracked.
Hmm.
They said that they will have the skylight fixed within 2 months
What
to
happened?
replace the glass. She put $10,000 in escrow.
Okay.
Miss
She,
Baker. She
Mrs.
signed
Big.
the document, notarized it. They signed it, which said that if it is not fixed in 2 months,
Hmm.
he will get this money to get it fixed.
Everyone, you hear that? What did she do, Joseph? She starts with an N. She
She
notarized.
notarized the documents
Hmm.
because they agreed that they will fix the skylight within 2 months because they have to order the glass. The glass
Okay.
never came. The
Interesting.
glass was never ordered. She
Mm.
called me after about 3 months and said, Joe, I'm going to meet up with you to give you your check.
Miss Baker, the signing
Miss
agent,
Baker,
involved.
she met up with me. She met up
That's
with me and
interesting.
she met
Wow.
up with me and the real estate agent because she said, did you ever get the skylight fixed? She said, well, we're well past the deadline. whatever. So what I ended up doing, I ended up getting the money. I opened up an account
Mm-hmm.
that I could not touch, and that money sat there. It did gain a little interest.
Mm-hmm.
I finally got the skylight fixed years later.
That's great.
I
That's
finally got
great.
it fixed years later, upgraded everything. Um,
Mm.
original people refused to do it because at the time there were a lot of people that were rushing me through. I love the property, and I'm gonna keep it honest with you guys. I had the inspector worked for was a friend of the real estate agent, and I love my real estate agent Cynthia Epps, but they were kind of in cahoots. And what happened was that he was just checking the appliances.
Mm-hmm.
I had leaks in the roof.
Interesting. Yeah.
The neighbor that purchased in the building, his inspector came on the roof.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The roof is concerning. I had no clue because I'm a first-time home buyer. I'm looking at the granite countertops, I'm looking at the stainless steel appliances, and I'm not looking at the real things. And so what happened was that I couldn't get the skylight fixed until the roof was fully restored because they did patchwork on that roof. But now the roof has been completely done by the condo association. We spent a lot of money. Well, we have a 20-year warranty, all of the things, but then I couldn't move forward until the roof was fully restored.
So with that being said, Joseph, you're happy with your existing property. With all these issues that's taking place, you are happy for
I'm
now.
happy that I'm here. I've survived the test of time.
There you go.
I do have one regret.
One regret, please share.
At the time when I purchased my property, Barack Obama put a first-time homebuyer's tax credit in place.
Okay.
And every time I would file for taxes, I would get a lot of money back. I bought my property. I went to closing November 2nd of 2007.
Okay.
And when I filed taxes, I ended up getting $15,000 back.
You hear that, everyone? Joseph, how much money did you get back?
I got $15,000 back. Was only in my property 2 months before we had to file taxes. So this was the money that Barack Obama set aside as a tax credit for first-time home buyers. The first year I got 15,000. The second year I got 13,000. The third year I got 12,000, and then I got 10. And then after that, it just kind of stopped. My biggest regret is this: I was informed by my real estate agent, Joe, you can use that as a down payment on another property. They have condos selling for $100,000 in the city.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do that. I was going to Miami. I was
living the life. You living the life. It happens, Joseph. It's all maturity and growth. Would you do it again? Absolutely not. But we was living our best life, and now you can teach the youngins, like, this is what you should not do when you want to get into the real estate game. But you know what, Joseph? We look back at things, a lot of things, especially now, like I bring it back. Real estate right now is so popular, especially amongst, our demographic of individuals and people of color looking to get into the market. And it's making it's people, some people have the money. It's just the supply is not there right now. So we want to tell people out there, hold tight, continue to look, don't overly research, but when it's time to make it happen, purchase you some property. We're looking to build generational wealth.
And ask
We're
the
looking
loan signer questions.
Ask the loan signer questions.
Ask him or her.
Okay.
What's an important document? What do I need to keep with me?
Mm-hmm.
What do I need to put in a safety deposit box?
Yep.
Who should I, whatever. Ask those questions, because I asked those questions. My closing lasted a very long time because I just didn't want to. I get overwhelmed when people talk at me, and they don't give me an opportunity to ask questions. Ms. Baker was like, no, say that again.
Okay, so you guys hear that?
She was interjecting.
Okay, so she kept the meeting flowing, but she kept making sure that the important questions you were allowed to hear them, maybe one, two, maybe several times until you was able to really take it all in. And that's very important. So it seems like you had a great loan signing agent. Because my thing is there, I just wanted to make this series talking about behind the scenes of what a loan signing agent does. And it seems like you had a phenomenal loan signing agent during that time. And once again, shout out to Miss Baker. Joseph, I'm sorry. You see, we're definitely going over. But our last and final question, Joseph, where can people find you at when you're not talking about real estate with me?
Oh, when I'm not talking about real estate, I'm a mental health therapist. I actually maintain a platform on social media, on Facebook.
Give me a social media plug-in. Give them
Joseph Williams, the misunderstood social worker, on Facebook. You
Okay.
can find me on Instagram as
Hmm.
the Misunderstood SW. You can
Okay.
find me on TikTok as Misunderstood SW. All
You
platforms.
TikToking, Joe? You TikToking? Oh, God.
Just a little bit,
Little TikToking.
I'm taking people on a couple of journeys, fitness and some
Okay.
other stuff, but then I also do a great talk about mental health and
Okay.
healing and what that looks like and everything else.
And
So,
Joseph, tell the viewers and the listeners too what days throughout the week that you go live if people want to definitely check you out on IG.
well, I'll be returning on Thursdays, and
Okay.
I will be returning on Thursdays. But then also,
Mhm.
I wanted to talk more about you and to say this to you. Um, I've witnessed your journey and just the way and how important this was for you
Yes. Thank
in the area. And, I really want there to be more of us coming to these tables
you.
because,
Okay.
I did a little research prior to doing the show and I found out that
Research,
loan
research,
signing,
research. Joseph does his research. He's
yeah,
definitely plugged in.
loan signing agents, I heard it's less than 2% of them that look like us.
Mm,
So for
mm,
those people who look like me and Altavis, of any across all cultures of color,
right.
know that we only represent less than a small percentage. So when we go to these tables, be your best self and be on top.
There
And
you go.
you've shown and proved those things. Because I've heard of some nightmares with loan signing agents. I've told you about my friend in Atlanta. The lady left, didn't come
Yeah.
back. Like,
No.
I mean, like
Yeah.
literally. So,
Hmm.
it's kind of like
Presentation is key, and showing
presentation.
up. And if you don't know something, just got to share it with the signer, and you get that title representative on the phone or the lender. And I think what's happening now in our current industry, before we wrap up, you know, um, this convo tonight. Well, it could be happening throughout whatever time we're going live eventually. That I think nowadays people are looking to get into the industry, but they have to know what they're doing. You have to follow certain steps. You have to have a certain type of etiquette. You know what I mean? To how to present yourself. And I think having strong customer service, knowing how to present those documentations, most importantly, making sure that the signer and or the seller is comfortable in your presence and just going with the flow. Because at the end of the day, they may not speak to the lender face to face. They may not speak to the title company face to face. They might see their closing agent if they're not dealing with them direct or virtually, but they will see that loan signing agent. Not to take away from the real estate attorneys, but most likely if you're dealing with a loan signing agent, they will see us. So how we show up and how we present ourselves will be that. You see what Joseph talk about, Miss Baker? There will be something that they will always remember. So for a lot of my signing agent peers or people within the real estate and mortgage industry, let's take heed to that. We have to do better. We have to show up and also be presentable. And on that thought, my brother, thank you so much for joining me. I'm stuttering because I'm thirsty right now, and I need to get some liquid. But I want to thank everyone for chiming in, checking out, this live with me and Joseph Williams, aka the Misunderstood Social
Social.
Worker. I didn't forget. I just have to dive it on in. And I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Once again, we'll see each other soon. Have a good night. Be well. Bye, Joe.
Bye bye. Bye bye.
Take care.
Take care. Take care.